like that, people don't really understand until they actually get there and they're like, okay, this is a real nonprofit. So
it's funny that people have these, and like you said, there's other organizations that are nonprofits, but they're nonprofits to make a profit.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? They use it as a little scheme to make some money, and then you have.
Listen, people make money off of this. We're not gonna act like nobody people making money off a nonprofit, and I got the same amount of money as that I do when I came into it. So like, no, we make $0 off of this. Like every single dollar is used towards a nonprofit or the kids that we mentor. Like a lot of these kids they don't even have transportation to get to where they need to go to, like to school and stuff like that. So when I'm not there, I gotta call them a lift. Sometimes I do it in my own pocket. Like it's just we gotta do what we gotta do. Like one of the kids didn't have a book bag to go to school. We gave away all our book bags, bought him a book bag. Like we gotta play basketball, no sneakers. Gotta give him the sneakers, and that's just stuff like. Without us, they'd probably just give up on the basketball dream.
That's the little stuff that counts.
Yeah.
You change somebody's life with those little acts.
Like, he told me, he's like, man, if you never bought me up sneakers, I'd just been on the corner with my friends because they there right now. I'm like, all right, glad you gave me sneakers.
Yeah.
I'm glad you gave me
And that's the
sneakers.
reality.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
What would you be doing if you wasn't doing this?
A geek. Nah, seriously, though. Probably just in the books. I mean, honestly, this has changed my life too in a way because it's opened my eyes to so many different aspects of kids and about how serious mental health is in general. And like these kids really suffering from PTSD and they don't even know it yet. Like, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yo, you got PTSD, bro. Like, it's serious. Like they're scared to go outside some days because they got that guy on the block that know he has a gun and he don't know when he gonna shoot it. So it's like a lot of them struggling with PTSD, depression and stuff like that, and it just opened my eyes to like this is serious. And if this is only 10 out of the million kids, like I know it's more out there.
Oh yeah.
And we partner with people like community citywide community counseling services. They right on Frankfurt. They do great with mental health. Mind you, it's an outpatient clinic, so it's like more so older people, but still like we met a guy in Kensington and with Mr. Clean and Safe Parks, and Mr. Clean and Safe Parks changed his life. And it just really opens my eye to how much people out there are doing good and how much people really need help.
And not seeing that in social media or not seeing that in any media, really. You would think like, oh, there ain't nothing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're immersed in it, you see that there are a lot of people and a lot of resources for people.
Definitely. Like media is just doesn't shine light on the things that we see. I know you see it. Like, I know media don't show what we see, and it's just sad and in a sense because I don't like posting everything that we do. Like on media, like I'll post like events and stuff like that, but every single thing it's too much.
It's funny you say that because it's one of like I hate doing Instagram. It's easy when it's natural and you're doing it for your own your own page, like like playing with your dog or something. But it's harder when it's a second job because there was a couple of people that I tried getting on the show who are actually really doing good, but they're like in the upper echelons of doing good, and they see my page and they're like, oh, he ain't got that many followers, so don't even worry about it. So it's like it's a hard stuck between a rock and a hard place, just trying to get social media up, but also feel like you're not doing it just to be like, look what I'm doing. You know?
Definitely. Like a lot of and social media is so bad because people see that you don't have a lot of followers, but the people that you have on your podcast, like I went through and I saw who was on the podcast, are very influential people. And people would just brush it off like, yeah, he only got like 500 followers, but he really making a difference. So it's like, even nonprofits that we try to collaborate with, they probably brush us off like, yeah, they not that big, or he only 19 and they only 19. But it's just the way of life, and we just keep moving, try to find the next person and stuff like that. And sometimes you do get like a wallow or something like that, and then sometimes you don't. And it's like, can't just dwell on it. We gotta keep going.
Yeah. And sometimes you get those big hits, and you're like, all right, cool. I like it. But either way, you still gotta what is it? You got a mission. You gonna follow through.
Definitely.
What's some of your favorite success stories that either a kid told you or you know some of your like something that'll stick with you for a long time that you like sharing?
Well, it was a mentee. I won't say any names, but she came to us semi depressed but didn't really want to talk about it. And she started off really nonchalant, not speaking to anyone. And we would have Zoom calls. She wouldn't say anything. But when we called her afterwards, she would speak like a lot. She was just afraid of speaking in front of everyone. And we started in January. May, she was explaining to us what's going on in her household and stuff like that, how she didn't want to live anymore, suicide, like mental health, really big. And then at the end, it was around June, she came on and she was like, we were asking people like, yo, how did the mentorship go? How can we change and stuff like that? And she just, I want to speak first. We're like, oh, well, go ahead. You want to speak first? Go ahead. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. And she was like, if it wasn't for y'all, I would have probably took my life in January. We were like, whoa, like that's deep. And I had to take a step back from the laptop, like, whoa. And she was like, you guys changed my life. You got me friends. You guys helped me through situations with my parents. Like, she was like, situation with my parents, like that's deep, and I really appreciate it. And I was like, that's crazy. I took it. It almost had me turned up. I was like,
bro,
that's crazy.
Heavy.
But yeah, that was. I was like, all right, like we doing something. We doing something.
I think a lot of people think one act, you set a chain reaction. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's you got a small pebble that hits the ripples in the water, and it goes all the way out. And definitely, people think when you have one person, like, oh, that one thing ain't gonna make a difference, right? But that one person can set a chain reaction and make the biggest difference. Mm-hmm. You might have just saved somebody who will invent the next life-saving technique or something. You know what I mean? And it's just every, like, they say every life ain't precious, but like every life means something huge. Definitely. And the work you guys are doing is like, that's something to really be proud of. And
it starts in a home. Like, a lot of these kids don't really have a good foundation at home, but when you make them feel at home, that's when you get them. Like, you got them. It's like
it's a sense of belonging. Yeah, you know, that, like you said, that girl started out in January. She didn't want to talk, but she wanted to be around.
Oh, for sure.
So you know there was something there.
For sure.
You know, and it just takes a little bit of time for people to get out of their shell, and then they drop that bomb on you, and you're just like, whoa.
And we like, whoa, we took a step back. Yeah. But in all honesty, like you said, it's like a sense of belonging, and a lot of kids just want that. They want to feel like they're a part of something, like a team or something. Like, that's why a lot of people play basketball, like a team. And that's what we create, so we love it.
They want to feel like they matter. Mm-hmm. And when you give them that purpose, every kid wants to be heard. And if you give them that platform to be heard, that can just, take them down a whole bunch of different routes.
And school was just like...
it's an institution. It's
almost like jail for them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like jail. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many things we could touch on. Yeah. But no, what you guys are doing, that's huge, and that news for sure would definitely stick with you for the rest of your life.
I'm never gonna forget that.
Oh no.
Like, she like my daughter at this point. Yeah. I'm never gonna forget that.
No, for sure, man. What kind of advice would you give a kid who's 16 right now? They in high school, and throughout this COVID stuff, it's hard to even stay in school. But what kind of advice would you give a kid who's looking to pursue the similar path that you are?
Stick with it. Don't let nobody tell you can't do it because you're young. A lot of people said that. And find a focal point and stick with it, honestly, because we started off with a big, major, we're just going to help the whole Philadelphia, and then we narrowed it down to mentorship. But obviously doing stuff for the community, right. But mentorship. So find a focal point.
Find something to focus on. And another thing I forget where I read it. It was one of those, probably a meme or something like that. Yeah. But it wasn't a funny meme. It said instead of asking your kids, what do you want to be in the future? Let's change their mindset and ask them, what problem do you want to solve? Because when you look at problems and solutions, that can literally turn into what you're going to be in the future.
And that's, last week we had something for our mentorship program. They're actually in the mentorship program, but in the mentorship program, it was something like name 5 things that you are appreciative for. And a lot of them said family and friends and stuff like that. And we were like, so this week sell us something that you think you could sell us on, like sell us a pair of shoes or something like that. But you have to be really convincing when you do it. They were like, all right, we got it. And after this week, they don't know it, but after this week, we're going to actually try to make them go towards that goal. Like, a lot of them want to be entrepreneurs and travel camera photography and all that. And we're trying to go help them go with that goal. So I think it's going to be really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the process of coming up with some of these workshops? Or do you guys have any, like, outside sources that come in to be like, hey, this is how you should run this next, you know, internal workshop? Like, what's that process like?
So, like, first off, we come up with a goal, and the goal is to just, like, last week was public speaking, this week is persuasive, and each goal has to be set around a core value, and then after that, we find someone who probably fits that goal. Like, I hate to say Wallow, but like Wallow in public speaking, like we could probably get him on the pocket,
hilarious.
Yes, but so a lot of the stuff that he says is really good, and so someone like that could come in and talk about public speaking, and then like whoever we find somebody that aligns with it, we try to get them on to speak about it. So, and
that's just from how early did that start? Like, when did you start seeing a trend for some of that stuff?
Probably 4 weeks into the program. The program started, the mentorship program started last year, so probably about 4 weeks into the program.
Okay.
And the kid, I mean, a lot of these kids, the things that they want to do aren't really school related. There's stuff outside of school, so we try to find out ways in which we can incorporate it into school, but not really, but like, yeah.
So from when you started and you said, you had this humongous goal that you wanted to cover all these topics and all these problem areas, and then you found a focal point to really focus on. What was it that you envisioned, and how has it changed?
Me, I like to think big, like really big, and people don't like it, but I really love to just think really big, and then sometimes it gets narrowed down and sometimes it doesn't, but the big focal point coming in was like, yo, we want to own an orphanage.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, like
okay.
that was the goal, like own an orphanage to where as when the kids come into the orphanage, they don't have to go anywhere else. So like there would be a music studio if somebody wants to do music, a gym, a classroom, a counselor, like stuff like that.
Like a one-stop shop.
Definitely. But then, money.
Money. Yeah.
So then we narrowed it down to a mentorship program, and then honestly it just grew from there. Money is a big issue though.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's like a really big issue.
But overall it went to how you envisioned.
Definitely. I think it did. And I think it actually went better than what I envisioned. I envisioned just us on Zoom every day with kids, but then it grew to me actually knowing these kids and their parents, like going to their graduation parties and stuff like that, and like chilling with the family.
Make you a busy man.
Yeah, man. Like with graduation last year, I went to 2 graduation parties in one day. One was in North Philly, South Philly, and we just driving around. Me and one of the other founders driving around. We went to pull up, got a little plate. I'm like, I'm hungry. Got a plate. Just she was like, you can stay. I'm like, I gotta go to another one. She's like, take extra. I'm like, it's probably food there.
Yeah.
But it keeps us fun, and it keeps us on our toes. Like we really love doing it. This, I think, in 2 years, probably gonna be a really big graduating class. A lot of them are like sophomores and juniors right now, so gotta get ready.
And what's it look like as far as new mentees coming in and volunteers kind of wanting to be a part of it? How's that grown?
We get a lot of people that want to volunteer and stuff like that, and we start them off as like volunteers. We actually looking to expand, so like get more people in like executive order and stuff like that, and on boards. So we get a lot of volunteers, but a lot of people don't know what it actually takes to be in a nonprofit yet, like to get on the board and stuff like that. So we start them off with volunteers, and they love it, but they probably don't have the time commitment. But the people that we find, they stay and stuff like that. And then mentees, we take as many kids as we want. I mean, as many kids we could get to. A lot of the kids are kind of standoffish. Like the kids that are in our mentorship program be like, yeah, I got a friend that want to be in it. Friend come for one, don't come back. And then I contact them like, yo, what's up? What's going on? Like they tell me, it's not really for me. I'm like, so what's for you? And they don't got an answer. I'm like, all right, come back to the next one. I'll make sure it's for you. And then they stay. So it's like, you just gotta.
That's a hard age to
definitely
to get them to come in too. I know when I was 16, I was a hothead. You couldn't tell me nothing.
For sure. Like a lot of these kids, you can't tell them right from wrong. you can't tell. Like if you told them